So a lot of people like to ask me, what will I do when it comes to Polkadot? Now, let me give my explanation, even though nothing I say is financial advice, and even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything, and how this is just purely my perspective. Now, personally, I'm going to still stay patient, hold, and wait. Now, people like to say, well, why though? They like to point to an issue that happened around a week ago in regard to Polkadot. Now, let me explain why that particular issue doesn't make me kind of worried when it comes to Polkadot as an ecosystem. Well, it's because if we just kind of give a quick recap, around a week ago, Polkadot did make a post, and they said how they were aware of an issue at the time that was affecting Hyperbridge's Ethereum gateway contract. Now, they say that there was basically somewhere along the lines of a breach, to my kind of paraphrasing capabilities, that kind of affected DOT on Ethereum that is bridged through Hyperbridge. However, they kind of allude to how it does not affect DOT in the Polkadot ecosystem or DOT bridge through other bridges. They also kind of somewhere along the lines of saying how basically Polkadot, its parachains, and native DOT kind of are unaffected. And at the time of that post, they say how Hyperbridge has been paused while the issue is investigated. Now, people like to say, okay, again, despite this issue, why am I still a fan when it comes to Polkadot? Because if I take a look at that right there, again, so basically to kind of summarize the situation, what happened was that a bad actor, they kind of found a bug in Hyperbridge's Ethereum bridge contract, and then they kind of hypothetically minted about $1 billion worth of faked wrapped DOT. In which case, because the liquidity pools were so thin, the total losses only ended up being around 2.5 million, but still, that's kind of a massive amount, right? Sure, granted, at the time this happened, the market cap when it comes to DOT was around 2 billion, which it is still, as of right now, around 2 billion, but I'm saying still, around 2.5 million, still kind of a lot in the grand scheme of things. But again, the way I take a look at it is that when it comes to Polkadot, it seems like the issue didn't really lie within the Polkadot ecosystem, in my opinion. Again, it seemed like it was external to me. But again, this is just purely to my understanding. Still a very unfortunate situation, what happened when it comes to that. But I think it kind of showcases that sometimes bridges, they may have some issues in some cases. However, thankfully, it was around only 2.5 million, not $1 billion, which I get it. Around 2.5 million is still a lot, but if it was $1 billion, that would have been like just so bad in my opinion. So yeah, good thing it wasn't that. Good thing, the liquidity was kind of thin. So then it was only around 2.5 million and not around $1 billion. And again, if we think about it, 2.5 million, that's not even 1% of 2 billion, which again, the market cap of DOT is around 2 billion at that time. The thing is, when it comes to that situation, people like to say, wow, again, it's still not good. I agree, even though 2.5 million approximately isn't even 1% of 2 billion, still despite that, the issue again, to me, didn't seem like it lied within Polkadot internally, like in terms of the ecosystem. It wasn't like it was within Polkadot. It's not like it's on the Polkadot ecosystem, if that kind of makes sense, I suppose. It seems like external. So I don't think the weakness lied in Polkadot. I think it may have lied elsewhere. This is just my personal perspective. Now, when it comes to DOT, people like to say, well, it hasn't really done much. I agree with that. I mean, it's still hovering slightly below $1.30, in which case people like to say, well, this thing is cooked. They like to say that. But in my opinion, if I take a look at it, it's a project that's currently ranked 36th in the world in terms of market cap with over 1 million holders. Is that really cooked? I mean, there's projects out there ranked way lower with way less holders, and a lot of people are saying that it's not cooked. So what, this is suddenly cooked? I just maybe have a hard time believing that. And if I take a look at it, let's say just more so on a, I guess, zoomed out sort of perspective, Polkadot, as of right now, is currently again ranked 36th in the world in terms of market cap. For instance, if we take a look at what's ranked 40th in the world, so it's lower in ranking when compared to Polkadot, 40th as of right now is Near. Do a lot of people think that the Near protocol is cooked? A lot of people would probably say no. Not to mention, if we take a look at it, Pepe is ranked 44th in the world, and I get it, it's a meme, but it still has a very big following, and I don't know if that is cooked. A lot of people would probably say no if they were asked the question, is that cooked or not? And again, Polkadot is still ranked higher than that. Not to mention, if I take a look at it, Algorand ranked 59th in the world. Is that cooked? A lot of people would say no. Take a look at Render, ranked 58th. A lot of people would also say no. Take a look at Cosmos at 60th, Quant at the 61st position. Again, there are some projects out there that historically have a lot of notoriety, historically have a lot of, I guess, sort of this presence within this space that is ranked lower than Polkadot. So if Polkadot is cooked, and yet there are projects out there ranked lower than that, does it mean they're cooked as well? You know, in some cases, some people would say no, so I just don't know why I would think Polkadot is cooked like that. But even besides that point, though, when I take a look at it, Polkadot, people like to tell me, well, again, it's around $1.27. Like, this is not good. And again, that's totally out of my control. I can't control any of that. But here's my perspective. I mean, if I think about it, what is the all-time low when it comes to Polkadot? Or should I say its native token called DOT? The all-time low actually is $1.13. So if we take a look at being at around $1.27 as of right now, we're basically just 14 cents higher than its all-time low. So what that means is that arguably Polkadot as of right now is very close to its historical floor. Now, what is the ceiling when it comes to Polkadot basically? Now, throughout its history, we've actually seen DOT reach $55 before, but that was back in 2021. It was a different time. The altcoin season at that time was just really fantastic. As of right now, we haven't seen an altcoin season during this cycle. But besides that point, if we just assume, okay, $1.27, is it closer to $1.13 or $55? It's way closer to $1.13, which is its historical floor. Its historical ceiling is very far away, yet we're just 14 cents more than its historical floor. So when I take a look at that right there, I mean, it's to the point where do I ever really need DOT at this point to go back to $55? Just because of this massive pullback, the answer for me as of right now is no, because if let's say DOT, right, in a hypothetical scenario, just went back to maybe, let's say, where it was in December of 2024. So at that time, it was $10.50 approximately, in which case we're around 8 times lower than that. The thing is this, if let's say DOT could just go back to that, I have no reason to ever really complain anymore. You know, it's like, for instance, if Ethereum or Bitcoin went back to its all-time high, it's not like it's around 8 times lower than that, let alone around 4 times lower than that. That just simply isn't the case. Let's just take a look at where DOT was in October of 2025. You know, in October, DOT was around $4. So again, we're over 3 times lower than that. In which case, again, Bitcoin is not 3 times lower than its all-time high. So the thing is, if DOT could go back to where it was in October, or should I say back in October of 2024, I'm already going to Sizzler. That's kind of my mindset. You know, I don't need Polkadot to be the next greatest or best thing of all time. That simply isn't the case. Sure, there are some microcaps out there that are doing very fantastic moves, arguably in some cases, but we only hear about the ones that make it. What happened to the other 10,000, 20,000, or however many that don't make it? We don't hear about that. We only hear about the ones that actually made it, but I don't want to believe in 20,000 projects to find one. I'm not going to be doing that. I'd rather just believe in a project that's a little bit more established, already has an established community, already has the fundamentals. I'd rather just believe in that personally for me, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. And if I take a look at it, Polkadot, in terms of its mission as a project, it still seems to be, I guess, following through with it. Again, it's focused on interoperability. It's focused on connecting blockchains together, basically. We saw Polkadot 2.0 recently. We saw aspects of elastic scaling when it comes to that, and a lot of developers, I think, would be pretty happy with that aspect. So when I take a look at that right there, I just don't really think that Polkadot failed in that sense. But yeah, besides that point, I'm still dollar cost averaging once a month, but I'm not telling anyone to do anything. But I'm going to stay patient, and I guess that's pretty much about it. So I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a very nice day. It's been Lee the Captain, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.